You can make a difference. By becoming a supporter of our channel, you not only help us thrive, but also become an active part of our community. The link to join us is in the description.
You are afraid of the bridge? Do not be afraid. After that bridge, there is a reality that you will only know if you have the courage to overcome. Fears often have the power to paralyze us, but the bridge is there, and as long as you fear it, you won't be able to get to the other side. So don't be afraid. Challenge yourself to get there. There are many places that are prepared and reserved for you, and God makes a point of putting you on your lap and getting you there. With the strength of his son Jesus, who is a humanity expert, Jesus specializes in humanity. Jesus specializes in crossing dangerous bridges, and we go with him. Pour the Almighty God over your life. His blessing, he who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. By the way, I keep thinking about the mystery of this continuity. Beautiful we think we realize how people are still inside us in such an intense way. People don't end, and they will not end as they remain loved. When you realize that your speech is impregnated by the wisdom of a woman who has never attended school. My mother had no opportunity to go to school. My mother frequented, it seems to me, that only until the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. And yet, I keep seeing how, when I lose the smart speech, when I don't have much left of what I studied, what helps me is what my mother taught me. Maybe you can even say this to me, right? How many times the program worked because my mother was here. When we keep people alive inside us, almost as a way of doing justice, a way of giving voice to those who do not have, a way to lend the body to those who cannot be here, just as we can resurrect those who have gone away. The other day I was thinking, my mother knows like this. She knows how much I loved Robin. And I remember that when he died, she was the person who was the most by my side. So in those days, because she knew how much we were friends and she always told me that, it was a friendship she admired a lot. And I keep thinking thus, in this capacity, that sometimes life gives us the other to continue within us. We no longer know how to say the name of us without remembering the names of others too, right? When you realize that by a mysterious force people have died, they no longer exist. But somehow they are legitimately represented in what we are. And I thank God so much for that, I thank God for the opportunity to experience in my flesh what the disciples experienced, the mystery of the resurrection of Jesus. So how many times did my mother rise Jesus inside my heart? I remember, one of the important moments of the trip on the Holy Land for me was when we were going to enter the Holy Sepulchre. I remember that day I had pilgrimage with another group, which was not what my mother was. Then I ran. When I got there in the Holy Tomb, I ran. I looked for where she was, because I wanted to get in there inside with her. There are a maximum of 3 people together, because in my experience of man, in what was not easy, I'm not afraid of what I suffered, what I suffer. Even today. Right? And I see it like that. I remember, and we played that stone together, Just as so many times we played so many things together. And I was thinking, right? What is the great meaning of Christ to us? Is that he resurfaced, he won the death, he won the precariousness, and then touched that stone of knowledge. The mystery came here. Here is the origin of what we believe. The origin of everything that makes me say what I say is there, in that stone. In the resurrection of Christ. But the resurrection of Christ, I could only understand why one day a woman was risen me too. It was risen the moment we were too small, and we couldn't articulate life the right way. She raised me the day I didn't want to stay at school, because I was afraid of loneliness, to stay away from her. She rose to me the moment my sister died. She rose to me the moment we saw things then go wrong indoors. She raised me the day I wanted to be discouraged from life. She was risen. Just as she tries to resurrect my sister, she tries to resurrect my brothers. And if I speak in their name, I'm sure they all love deeply and admire my mother. And that's the beauty of life, right? Enter there in that holy sepulchre with the woman who taught me everything I know about the resurrection. Not because it made me read in the books, but because it lent Methy resurrection in his ability to be a woman, to be a mother, to generate me again. I think you who are mothers, you have the power to generate us all your life again, because sometimes we need to be born again. It's not a few sometimes in life that we need to be born again. And born again, sometimes it's so hard, right? So hard. I see there with my sister. As much as you look at her and say, what's going on, right? Not to want to live anymore, to try against your life. It is so difficult to be born again. Sometimes we have the easy answer for us, but it doesn't fit the other. And almost have to bring to the womb again. Have to bring to the womb. It's like losing a child, right? The desire seems to be, before the dead son, to put it inside the belly again to see if life comes back. There are a few times, my people, where we are like that too. Life seems to escape us. Even today I talked to this with Leo. As today, people are weak, right? As people today are unwilling to live. How suffering has been the cause of defeat for so many people. And sometimes our experience of looking into the eyes and rediscovering a meaning for us to go ahead. And it is only possible with who we love, see? There is no other way. And it is only possible when we look into the eyes of those who love us, who knows all about us, or who knows much of what we are. When you lend. Look, I know it's hard for you today. I lend you a little bit about me. I know that today you can't afford to stand alone. I lend you a little bit of me. Lend me a little of your smile, right, at the time of my pain. Lend me a little of your tear. Lend me a little about your laugh. We need to do this all the time, because this is the great meaning. Sometimes we stay. There are so many questions we have here. Father, how do we do it? Father, how do we do it? Father, sometimes the secret is simple. But it is because it is too simple that sometimes we do not understand that we want very complicated things. Sometimes Christianity is only possible when you look at Jesus and see that he lent all the time. I don't know how long Jesus will have to lend me his smile. It may be that mine comes back tomorrow, but while I don't have it, I get his. This is Christianity. I don't know how long I will need Jesus' hope. It may be that tomorrow I return to his. But this is the most beautiful meaning. Jesus looked at people and lent them what was missing, as well as in the nearest neighborhoods. Lend me a little spoon of sugar for me to finish sweetening coffee here. Lend me a little spoon of salt, otherwise can't finish lunch. How many times have I heard it at home? The neighbors, my mother, with the comadres, one lending to another the seasoning that was missing to finish lunch. But sometimes, my people, the spices we need are others today. Today, sometimes what is missing in our closet is not material. Today, what is missing within our pans is often not the food. What is missing in our life is not only the material, but then we don't know who to ask. Many times, we even have the freedom to materially ask for something from someone, but when it enters the spiritual field, what our eyes cannot see, it is difficult. How are you going to go to someone and talk? Look. Lend me your house for today and to stay there quietly with you, just as I did this week. I fled, I needed a house. a family, and went where I know I have. Not that in my house I don't have it, because I was far from where I was. But when you go, so you are one more. When you realize that you need someone to lend to you a little fraternity and you are not having. Search. Sometimes our needs are minimal. Sometimes you stay there in the corner, right? In your life, in your suffering, also losing your desire to live. Just like my sister. And suddenly you need someone to lend you a smile. That's what Jesus did. And in that was his landlord. And in that was his ability to pour the crowds. And in this falls all over the power of religious denomination, because deep down what is left is people. No matter if we are Catholics, no matter if we are Spiritists, Evangelicals, Buddhists, atheists. What is left after all? This is people. It is heart suffered. It is heart. It is heart that needs attention. Is sick heart. Lonely. Sometimes we need some things we are even ashamed to ask. I know. Sometimes what you need in life is so small that you are ashamed to ask. But then maybe it's time for us to change our way of looking at things, people. If I forget what Jesus teaches me, if I forget what Jesus makes me believe, if I forget what Donna Anna taught me about him, if I remove the stone from that holy sepulchre, if I forget what happened there, I have nothing. Absolutely nothing new to invent, to say and to solve here, to propose. No. Now, when we look at Jesus and we find that he has a huge ability, because if he has and I can have from what he offers me, my mission as a priest and his priest, I know that so many priests watch us, is his religious mission. It is his Christian mission. The possibility to approach someone who doesn't have what you have. So today, I'm full of hope. I'm full of joy. I get closer to those who have no borrowing. But it's not that loan that we get back. No, it is the loan that is mutual. Just as I'm giving something, I'm getting it too. And that's what I said. We continue in people. We don't end. We don't end. We go like this as if it were a continuity exercise. We go to the bridge. People are like bridges, see? People represent in our lives the same as bridges represent on roads. There are some roads that we can only continue because there was a bridge to carry on us. There are roads and places that can only be known if we cross the bridge that separates us. I remember one of the biggest fears I had in my life, my people, was in iron bridges. Do you know these railway bridges that cut cities many times? One that has there an aunt to this day. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm afraid to this day. Because that bridge, she was famous for being dangerous. She was on the Formiga River, there in the Vargem Grande region. And there the train passed. So if we were caught in the middle of that bridge the moment the train passed, my God, from heaven. And I was very afraid of that bridge. So much so that the other side of the asphalt, the other side of the bridge, was a place that was fascinating to me. Because it was a place I had never gone. I remember the first time my brothers caught me on my lap. I remember it was Camilo, who was with me. He was going a lot in that region. When he put me on his lap, he was another bunch of his friends. Some more of mine. He made me cross the bridge, but he took me on his lap, and I looked down, fear. That dread of looking at those spans, right? The iron bridge, it is full of spans, and those logs of wood, where they pass and the track go. If my brother had not put me on his lap, I would never have had the courage to cross. That's why I say, people are like bridges who help us cross, who help us overcome fear, that helps us go forward. It may be that at many times on your road, you don't go forward because
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey at Path of Faith. Your participation is key to our community's growth, so please leave your comments, give us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more uplifting content.